Ambush. Welcome to this episode of the Desert Tiger Podcast. Here with me, your host, Colton G. And today on the show, don't you worry, you're not in the wrong spot. We're just getting heavy, so we thought we'd make the background music match the mood, because we're throwing down with two of the members of Seasons RVA here today. Oh yes. And we are going to be discussing the band's growth over the last year and a half as their previous drummer, Randall, moved on over to vocals. What has that opened up for the band? What has it allowed them to do? We're also going to discuss the two singles that the group has released since this move. We're going to talk about Killing Season, a song that is going to be featured inside of the upcoming Friday the 13th Vengence 2 Bloodlines, and it also features lyrics based on Jason Voorhees. We're also going to dive into their new single, Bounce, which definitely gives us a much different energy. We're also going to talk about what's coming up with the band, possibly an upcoming sophomore EP, maybe a debut full-length album. So much on the go, and of course, you know we're gonna bring you all of this and oh so much more as we jump into the pit and get heavy with Josh and Nick from Seasons, and it's all brought to you by DesertTigerMerch.com, where you go to copy yourself something to represent the show everywhere you go. And now that you know who our guests are, now that you know who the show's brought to you by, why don't we go ahead and get heavy with Seasons? Let's go.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.
All right, Ambush, we are here with two of the members of Virginia metalcore band Seasons. All right, gentlemen, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourselves and what you play inside of the band?
I'll go first. My name's Josh Woolcott. I am the drummer for Seasons. I am fairly new in this band. I am a left-handed drummer, or open-handed, which a lot of people don't see, but I'm self-taught, so that's like the form that was meant, that made most sense for me.
And I am Nick Gober-Keller, and I play guitar. I'm one of two guitarists in Seasons.
All right. So we're here with part of the rhythm section and the rhythm guitarist. So we're going to rock it on out here today, talk a little bit about the band's growth and where they have gone. And of course, this last year has brought a lot of adaptation to the music industry. And of course, Seasons themselves has had to go through some adaptations with new members, with Nick joining, I believe, last February. Josh, yourself, you've joined recently too. So what has it been like to come into this growing band, and how have you seen the sound evolve over this past year?
The biggest thing is, as far as like the sound evolving, is we switched singers in the last year. So for any rock band, that's a huge switch. I mean, you can replace sometimes a drummer, a bass player, a guitarist, and that's not quite as noticeable, but a singer is huge. So Randall Sykes, who used to be the drummer, is now the singer of Seasons, and he sounds a lot like Chester Bennington from Linkin Park, whereas our old singer, Kent, sounded a lot like Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying. So big, like, transition vocally. So that's been the biggest thing as far as the sound over the last year. And it's affected the writing. Like, Randall has a crazy range, super high, super low, stuff I do a lot of the backing vocals, but he can do stuff I could only dream of doing. So that's been a huge step for us.
Okay. And I know that Josh, you just joined the band recently, so what was it about the band that attracted you?
Well, it started off with me playing a Halloween show this past Halloween, and I'm in another band as well. I've been with them for about 2 years, but we played a show at this place, and it was a costume contest, but it seemed like I was the only one in the band that was in the costume contest, and I guess I made my mark because I dressed like a nun. Like, I had the whole chick outfit, but with like the robber face mask, the old lady face mask. I felt like the show went really well. I didn't really get to watch Seasons because I went to watch the merch table, but I mean, I could still hear them and they're amazing. Anyways, so not even a month or so down the line, they hit me up on Bandcamp. And I started Bandcamp like a long time ago because I was just trying to get into the motion of performing again and all that stuff. But I never really got any hits unless it was for cover bands. And that's not what I was looking for. I was looking for something with metal. He said Seasons was looking for me. And so I contacted Seasons and they're like, hey, why don't you just come on down and try out? And I was like, sure, why not? I mean, I've never run two bands before, but I figure I can give it a shot. And I've asked other people about them and everybody's a super fan of them. I've even become a super fan of Seasons. Like I burnt my own CDs for them and I listened to them literally every day back to back. But I went out and tried out for them and everything just flowed naturally with us and them. I like the way they perform. I love their songs. Even during practices, they have great energy and everybody's just very well connected. I've never experienced that before in a band in a long time. I've been up to New York, down to North Carolina, playing around. I think it was just it fit like a puzzle piece right there off the bat. So it just worked out. We actually just had our first show with me in it last week. Yeah. And it turned out pretty amazing. Had a couple mess ups. I knew it was going to happen. We've had a hard time practicing with a lot of stuff going on and we've had to find a new practice space, but it turned out A-okay. Like I said, I'm not only a member, but I'm one of their fans now. So I'm really happy to be in the spot.
Oh, it's always good when you can enjoy the music that you're going to be playing, especially when it comes to the time of touring and practicing all the time.
Oh, I know. It's like that. I mean, like, but with any band, like you get tired of your own songs and you just repeat them over and over. It's not like that for this band. It's like one of my favorite bands because I can listen to them for years and years and not never get tired of it. So I think that's like one of the main key things that makes me super proud to be in this band.
Awesome. All right. So we talked about how you enjoy some of the songs. So let's dive into some of these songs. Of course, Nick, I know that you joined when there was a different singer to the band, as you say. And so the first single with Randall at vocals was Killing Season, as far as I can tell. So what were you able to capture with this vocals? How would you say that the band was able to grow just from that member change that you can see inside of this one song?
One of the huge things is the range piece, like I was talking about. The chorus on Killing Season, I think we try to write songs where we want a really powerful verse and breakdown and stuff that makes you just want to drive your car really fast or something like that. But we also want a chorus that's going to get stuck in your head. So Randall's really good at that. He did a lot of the lyric writing and vocal melody writing for Killing Season. So that chorus, I Am Everywhere, goes so high, which I don't know that we ever had been able to do that with the lineups we'd had in the past. So yeah, that's been a huge step right there.
Okay. And then you say that Randall handled the majority of the vocals on this. Was he involved in the vocal process before with the lyric writing?
Yeah, I mean, it's like with Seasons, everybody kind of chips in. And it's like certain songs have like more of one member's fingerprints on them than others. Actually, our upcoming single, Bounce, that is dropping on all platforms this Friday, April 2nd, that is largely Mark Spivey's brainchild, the other guitarist. So Killing Season, Mark wrote a lot of the riffs for that. Randall and I together wrote a lot of the lyrics. He wrote the melodies. So it's really a collaborative effort. That's why, I mean, I get so amazed at solo artists that can put out this awesome music because I think having a band where everyone contributes helps forge it into something strong. And if you're a solo artist that can do that on your own, that's amazing. More power to you.
Absolutely, 100%. And of course, this song features a little bit of a change for the band as well, as you're writing from the perspective of one Jason Voorhees. So are you guys big horror fans? Is this a pretty awesome moment to not only write a song about Jason, but to also know that it's going to be featured in the upcoming Friday the 13th Vengence 2 Bloodlines movie?
Yeah, it's actually, we're all big horror fans, I'd say we're all big Jason fans. And so it was kind of cool writing lyrics from the perspective of Jason because that kind of takes the governor off it as far as what you're allowed to write about. We literally sat down and thought well, if Jason Voorhees' crazy self wrote a song, what would the words be? And that's basically what came out. And so, yeah, getting it, we wrote this song like as like a Hail Mary attempt. We knew Vengence 2 coming out, and so we thought let's write a song for it, and we'll submit it, and what the heck, we'll see what happens. And it was actually pretty surprising when the director, a guy named Jason Brooks, came back to us, and he loved it. And we've got to do some really cool stuff since then. We've done an interview alongside Jason Brooks, the director of the new movie. Also, God, I'm blanking on his name, but on that interview was the actor who played Jason in Friday the 13th 6, Jason Lives. So like, it was crazy. Like, we started the interview, we didn't quite realize who it was we were talking with at first until their Zoom cameras popped up, and they were in their offices, and all the Jason memorabilia is behind them and the masks on the wall and stuff. So it's been a really cool ride.
All right. Awesome. And Josh, are you a big horror fan yourself?
You know it.
Awesome. Big Jason fan?
I am a Jason fan, but I'm going to have to go with Freddy when it comes to Freddy versus Jason as one of my favorite movies. I think Freddy should have won. But my horror fandom goes beyond movies. Like, I eat, sleep, and breathe horror. I like video games, for instance. One of my favorite video games of all time is Evil Within and Evil Within 2. They're amazing games. Anything that has to do with Silent Hill, all of it. I mean, I enjoy it. I can go to sleep to horror movies. It's just meant for me.
Nice. So some people are the opposite of that. So it's pretty good to know that you can not only handle it, but it soothes you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, especially when it involves clowns or something like it. I love watching people freak out over clowns. I know somebody who has a phobia of clowns, so it was fun to tease him for a while over that.
Nice. All right. So earlier you had mentioned the upcoming track Bounce, and from what I can see from the previews, of course, we're recording this before it's dropped. From what I can see from the previews, it seems like quite a different energy in this track. So what did you try to capture within Bounce?
Bounce is going to be our party song. We don't really have one of those in our catalog. This is going to be the song that you do shots to.
Yeah, something to get you hyped and moving.
Nice. Every metal band needs a song to get people in the pit up and moving. So this definitely sounds like the track to do so then.
Of course, everything's been dragging the past year with all the stuff going on, and we just want something to kickstart that energy back with the fans and with the music.
All right. And then it looks like there's quite a party vibe to the music video for Bounce as well. So what was it like to shoot this video?
Shooting music videos, well, we did it over the course of a couple of days. So like there are some scenes where we're on a boat, and there's other scenes where we're in front of a Lambo playing our instruments and stuff. And then there's another scene where we're playing at a party, like to a rowdy ass audience. And so the party scene was literally a party for everyone except us, because we were doing, like, when you shoot a music video, you do take after take after take. You don't just film it once and then you're done. So everybody out around us is getting wasted and doing keg stands and jumping up and down in the background. We're basically having to pretend we're in the same boat as them, even though we're all sober as a judge. But it was fun. It was cool. It was awesome meeting this guy named Kyle, he's CEO of a company called Richmond Performance Modification. He's the owner of the Lamborghini. We had to make a lot of phone calls and beg and plead, but he came through and let us borrow his Lamborghini for the video. So it was pretty exciting. I'd never sat in a Lamborghini before that.
It's not an experience many have, I'm sure.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. It sounds like a very fun video. I can't wait to watch it. All right. So you guys have also hinted towards an upcoming album possibly coming in the future. Is that maybe coming down the way in 2021 here? What details can you give us?
As far as a full-length album, it's so hard to say. I want to tell you, like, it'll be out in the fall, but I don't want to tell you the fall of which year. There's a lot that goes into songwriting for us. I'll just put it like, we're kind of band. We don't crank out a song in a week. It's very much a methodical process. Like what it consists of, our songwriting is bringing in drum ideas, riff ideas, vocal ideas. Hey, what about this? What if we stitch this together? It's pieces stitched together. And then we'll go home and we'll record it on our phones, go home, listen to it, tweak it, come back with further ideas. What if we do this? Tweak it some more. after a couple weeks of that, then we go into the studio and we have our producer offer his suggestions. And then, after that, after all that process, a song is put together. So it's a lengthy process. So I guess I can't really give you a solid answer like, album will be here this day, but that's a little bit of insight into what the songwriting process is for us.
Okay. So you're still working on it then?
That is the short answer, yes.
All right, fantastic. Glad to hear. And no matter what, I'm sure the fans are going to be excited whenever it comes their way. All right. So, of course, you also recently mentioned that you have made your return to live shows, at least a soft return. You've also made announcements to upcoming shows, upcoming festivals like Metal in the Mountains. And of course, over this past year, a lot of people haven't maybe been able to see the band live, especially with these member changes too. What would you say maybe awaits those who have yet to see the band live in general, or this rendition of the band?
Ooh, they're going to see harmony and perfection. They're going to see awesomeness, pure awesomeness. I am so excited to be playing, especially on a stage like Metal in the Mountains. Never done anything that big before, but I'm going to feed the energy to the crowd and they're going to feed it right back.
I think they're going to see 5 Maniacs on stage.
Yeah, that too.
We take pride in it. Like, we're not all 19 years old, but when we go out there, it's time to work. Like, we jump around. We are doing anything but standing still. And like, the goal of it is we want you walking away being like, that was dope. I got my money's worth. Those dudes went out and worked and put on it.
Yeah, you're most likely going to see the bassist, Matt, mess himself up on stage at least once or twice during any performance.
I mean, you got to go hard, right? Especially when you're the bassist. It's everybody always claims that they don't do anything, so we got to prove everybody wrong.
He does a lot. He does the most of anybody I've ever seen in any band. I mean, he keeps in contact like all the time, like every now and then, even if it's just shooting a text here or there. It's like, hey, man, did you go check out this band? This band's pretty cool. What if we did something like this? Anything here and there. Like, how's your day?
Just a solid band dad then.
Oh, straight up.
Nice.
But like a cool one.
Very important. Very important. You don't want one of those ones that's going to try and rain terror down on you all the time. All right. So we've talked about the musical progression of the group. We have talked about a little bit of the live performance as well. I know that both of you are fairly new to the band. So rather than asking what this time and seasons fully has done, maybe I'll ask which the last few years of playing in bands, growing, and then coming into this band that's already building up, already at the touring level and otherwise. So what has this process as growing as musicians? How has it helped you grow as people, or what has it taught you about yourself?
I think like the best way to get better as a musician is to play with other people, because it kind of forces you to step outside of your comfort zone, which has been a big takeaway for me. Like, I've learned a ton about technology, like guitar technology, amps and stuff like that from playing with Mark. Stuff I never would have learned otherwise if I had never played with Seasons. So that's been a huge takeaway. And then there's this other, like, there's this sort of attitude among Seasons, which is like the best attitude that like an underdog can have. Like, when I joined Seasons, I'd say it's still the same now. There's this, like I said, attitude that like we're not too small for anything. Like, it literally would be like, when I joined, it would be like, we all really like Saliva, like the band. So, well, let's see how we can get on the same stage as Saliva. And so they start making phone calls and hitting up people on Facebook and all that stuff. And they figure out that this person knows this guy who knows somebody running, say, a festival that Saliva's on the bill for. And then this festival needs certain other, like some other bands to fill slots. And before you know it, after making these connections, you figure out a path to playing in front of Saliva, which is wild to me because like I'm 27. So I remember watching Saliva on MTV as a kid. And now it's like playing alongside them is a very feasible possibility. And the same thing has happened with stuff like Metal in the Mountains. There's going to be some big names on that bill. So it's the same thing. So that's one thing I've taken away is it's like in this business, there's just, I don't know, I guess like it pays to not be afraid to shoot your shot.
Nice. I like that answer. Joshua, how about yourself?
You got to have hard work and dedication. That is my key advice right there. No matter what, even if there's some kind of discrepancy going on with in or outside of the band. It either stays in the band or it stays outside of the band. I know things can get hard a lot. I've seen it happen time and time and again, but if you can just put forth the positive energy to actually want to succeed, then you can succeed. And that's exactly what I'm seeing with Seasons.
All right. Awesome. And it's definitely something that I have seen from even just researching the band is you guys are definitely working hard, putting in that effort to make sure that you earn these opportunities that you are getting.
It's amazing.
All right, Nick. All right, Josh. I want to take the time to thank you so very much for joining me here on this episode of the DTP.
Thank you.
Dude, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us.
Oh, Ambush, I hope that you enjoyed this conversation with Josh and Nick from Seasons, and you can find both of the tracks that we spoke about today, Killing Season, as well as that new track Bounce right now on your favorite music streaming service. When you're there, you might as well go ahead and hit follow because you know the Seasons is working on new material right meow. It's going to be coming your way probably later this year, so you don't want to miss it. With that, it's time that I said a big thank you, roaring DTP thank you to Nick and Josh from Seasons for joining us here today. And I have to thank Kendall from MVK for going ahead and helping with setting this conversation up. I have to thank German at yourpodcasteditor.com for making this episode sound so good. I have to thank you, the Ambush, for tuning in to this episode of the DTP. If you have yet to join the Ambush, it's as easy as hitting follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast listening app or service. You can also help the show grow by sharing this episode with your friends, your family, on your social media. You can help us grow by giving us a 5-star review on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, and Stitcher Radio. And you can also help us out by heading to DesertTigerMerch.com and picking yourself up some swag to represent the show everywhere your lovely face goes. Oh, and now it's about time that we say our goodbyes, but not before I tell you to go and find your mountaintop, your oasis, the thing that makes your heart sing and scream to its fullest capacity. Find your aurora and then let that bad boy, girl, whatever kind of tiger you happen to be, let that roar out into the world and show them just how powerful, how wondrous, and how beautiful you and your roar are, because you are all three of these things. Oh, so much more. Until next episode, a bonus episode tomorrow. We will see you then. Have a great day. Bush.
The Desert Tiger Podcast.